startups for their startup journey and currently pursuing my higher studies for LLM. So I have founded two platforms, Legal Associates and Start-Up Kro. The idea behind Start-Up Kro is to enable every person to have their own startup, because if India will be on the journey of having startups, entrepreneurship, then only we can be the first world nation, which is the need of the day, I say. And when I say that I mentored so many of the startups, so I'm going to share my experiences, my challenges that I faced in the journey. Along with that, what should be the basic legal toolkit every entrepreneur, every startup should have with them. Because what happens, like, there is currently, Mira, there is a startup wave going on in the country. And when there is a wave going on, and people used to just like go with the flow, though even like they don't know how to swim. If you don't know how to swim in a river, then you will just go with the flow and you don't know where exactly you are going. So this is exactly what is happening currently with the entrepreneurs. They have a lot of idea, a bunch of ideas in their head, and they just want to jump up into this startup ecosystem. And when they lack legal and like education and awareness, then they face a lot of problems and challenges in their startup journey. I shared one of that incident. What happens, like, once a client have register themselves as a in the GST registration, and then they don't know that they have to make every month nil filings for the GST. After a year, they was like they came to me and they told me that our GST got inactive, and this message we received somewhere around 6 months back. I'm wondering, like, this person got registered in the GST and they don't know that they have to make filings, they have to like go ahead like this. So how like entrepreneurs who have very good ideas, who have like who made that much of the efforts to start this company, are not even aware of these small things about running a business, about legal compliances, tax compliances. Because when you are an entrepreneur, you are like different from others. This is my belief, because you are handling your business, you are handling its graphic designing, web designing, its tax, legal, drafting, collaborations, marketing, like every other thing you are doing at the same time. And in my belief, mothers can do it in a more proper manner, because they are already doing multitasking in their lives. They're handling their husband, their kids, their whole family, like everybody they're handling at the same time. So this work is like this multitasking can only be possible with a woman, not with a man. This is my belief. But when I talk about this basic legal toolkit, so if we have a proper classification of what things to be included in the toolkit, then first thing is to figuring out what is the proper legal registration one should have for their venture. Because people are registering under the sole proprietorship, then they are changing to private limited, and suddenly they feel that the compliances are very high, so they are converting again to the LLP. And then they have a question: can we go ahead with this GST of ours, that is of the private limited? So, no, like, things don't work this way. We have to be very proper, like, we have to be very set with the things. Like, we have to first get a consultation or like a complete toolkit, what and where to go with. We have to choose that which is the proper legal venture type for our priorities. If you want funding, go with the private limited. If you don't want funding, then stick to the LLP part. If you don't want compliances to be very high, then LLP would be best for you, other than like private limited company. So there are so many priorities based on what you have to select the type of the registration you want to have. First thing is, yeah, Yeah, like if I talk about this in the business development sense, then every person should have at least one advantage from the three advantages. That is, the first one is the skill advantage. You either be having that skill in you to start a new venture or to just go ahead with your idea. The second advantage you have is regarding the capital advantage, that you have resources with you have money with you. Generally, people run behind this capital advantage. And the third thing is the advantage in the terms of, like, you already, either you have the skill or you have this capital thing. And the third one is that you have a undue advantage over the others, like you have that much of the experience or you have that much of the resources with you, which is like, capital is not the resources part, so that is different. So if you have two advantages from these things, the third one is also the geographical advantage, like your location is such where you can do this business. What generally the thing is that people have majorly either one or two advantages, which is pretty good. But sometimes people don't have even a single advantage. Like if somebody wants to start, like what I take an example of legal business or the legal consultancy. If you are an advocate, you have that skill in you. You can go ahead with your own. You don't need to hire people with you. So these are the challenges. Like first, you want to have a confirmation over your idea, then always confirm it based on these three advantages. In case you have either two of them, then it will be very easy to acquire the third one. But if you don't have any of them, then please don't go ahead with this idea, because you will be spending up like lakhs, or I say you will end up burning up money of the investors on the things. You will burning up the money of the investors on, yeah, nobody. Yeah, like if I talk about the legal services first, so when like why I discuss this business development thing first, because business development is the first stage to do the things, like your product is all set, your market is all set, go to marketing strategy, who your clients are. Then the fourth step and the last step is the legal compliances and the tax compliances that comes up. So when you're all set with all the things, all other things, then you have to come up on the legal part. Then you have to choose accordingly based on the mindset or based on the, like, your strong capacity to look into your business. Like if I want funding, then I will be going ahead with a private limited. So this is the first step point. Like if I don't want funding, I will not be going ahead with a private limited. So this is how you have to proceed. Like based on the things that you collected during your three steps, you have to move forward to the fourth one. If I realize during my business development that I will be able to run the bootstrap business, then I will not be going ahead for the funding in future. Then I will be going ahead with the LLP. I will be having low compliances. Even at the first stage, I will be like, even one can go ahead with the sole proprietorship as well. Why to waste that much of the money in the legal compliances if you are not looking for Startup India schemes benefits? If you're not looking for any kind of schemes benefits, then don't waste money going behind the like having things which are not able to handle out. So we have to move step by step, knowing our priorities. So the priorities we can discuss, like always can one can discuss with the legal person, but people have to understand, like in India, I always say that जो हमारी लड़ाई है, that fight we have in India is with the mindset, not with the people. So the mindset of people needs to be changed, that in the consultancy or like going to a professional is not the should not be the last resort. It should be the first resort, because either if you not do this, you will end up burning that much of the money, uh, like on other mistakes that one is making. First thing to start with is either sole proprietorship registration if one can have, then to go forward like step by step towards collaborations. While collaborations one have to keep in mind regarding certain, like they should have proper agreements got signed, they should have like conversation with the collaborators and clients over the emails, so that in case later like they have any mess got created, then they can handle it out by the evidences they have. Because most of the time I got calls from my clients that we provide that much of the money or that much of the product to another person and we are not getting our funds, we are not getting the payment for it, then what to do? These are some messes which entrepreneurs used to, like on which they used to lose their business, because things are not done in a proper way. Though you will be having like 30 minutes more per day going like wasted in the compliances and the agreements and all, but it will worth it in future. You should be having a proper traction. Mhm.
Unmute and ask.
Yeah, hi Ishani. So my one question here is what has not been spoken about, I think, is like if I have a proprietorship kind of a business, the legal implications on me, especially if it's something I'm building at scale, legally I would be liable, right, as compared to if I have an LLP or a private limited. So would that also make a difference in my choice? Or is there a legal get around to the same?
Like you are asking like whether my
So
voice is
I'm
not
saying,
audible.
so what I'm saying is that if I have an LLP or if I have a private limited, what would happen is the liability on an error made by me is on that entity, is on the LLP or on the private limited. So generally, it would not come back onto me as an individual entirely. But if it's a sole proprietorship, it would come back to me, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah.
Subin, can you please just unmute your mind? My voice is echoing. Yeah, so if it's a sole proprietorship or a partnership firm, then you will be having the unlimited liability and your personal property will get stake. If in case you have any liability in future, then your personal property can be the one from which this liability will be recovered. But that is not the case in the case like when it's a private limited or it's a LLP, because your liability is limited by the capital that you have invested in the venture. But here also the corporate bail lifting is there, where like in case you make any like any loss is there, which is though you not at fault, but like if somebody has purposely do something, then they will be definitely corporate lifting will be there, and you will be liable, whether it's private limited, whether it's LLP. But yes, for the meanwhile, for the protection, one should register either under the private limited or the LLP, because their liability would be limited, and in the business there will be losses. Surely there will be. So you will be limited by the liability according to the capital that you invested. Yeah, sure. Yeah, when I talk about the legal tech, then for that I mean like one who can handle your both legal and tech. At the same time, having the knowledge of the technology law along with the taxation and other laws that one needs help. What happens like nowadays people are having online agreements, people are having click wrap agreements over their websites or policy. So sorry, yeah. So what happens when I talk with the legal tech, then people generally like, what I mean by legal tech is the one who can handle your legal and tech at the same time, because there is a technology lawyer one needs for handing out the legal stuff online. There are corporate infringements going on, like in the social media space. There are so many things like policies, website policies, click lab agreements are there. People are signing online agreements. There are so many other stuffs that is going online, and when you go to any traditional lawyer who don't know about these legalities and all, then they used to just tell you about the concept or about the legality point of it, but they will not able to help you out figuring out like how to do it properly in the text space. Another thing, like if I talk about the Startup India registration, then one needs proper website for the registration process even. Then what happens like people are clueless like what to do, where to go, and like whom to have for their website development for the other parts. So they should be having a one space. I say there should be only one platform that will be catering them all those services, so that all the professionals who are working under this platform can sync their mind and provide you the best services. Because if a lawyer and a technical person is syncing their mind, then you will be getting the best product in today's space. Because nowadays what is happening, lawyers don't know tech, the tech persons are not aware about the legalities, and when they come up together, then only they can create something great, otherwise they will create a mess. So that I realize myself, like, what is happening, the developer is doing something, like even they are copy pasting the content from online, they don't know that plagiarism will come up, or like another legal challenges there would be. So one should be having the both things, like legally aware plus technically sound enough in the technology law to know about the technicalities involved, the like how to manage all the things together. The first thing is the copyright. So when you're creating content, so the copyright will automatically apply on you. So the most interesting part about the copyright is that one don't need a proper legal registration to claim copyright. Once, like you created the content, you posted it publicly, you have the copyright protection with you because copyright is a human right. It's a 27 National Human Declaration, Article 27. The humans are provided copyright as a human right, so you don't need to legally register for it, like unless you want to have its reality or any other legal, like you want to assign it to somebody else or something else. Then, like other than this, you don't want proper registration for enforcing your copyright over the content that you created on the blog. Now, the second part is the website policies, terms of use, privacy policies. In case you are collecting any data, and if you are in Europe, then you need GDPR policy as well. In India, if I talk about the privacy policy, then people used to have like a small format which is copy pasted from any web place and they just post it on over their website. But this is not how it works, because if it's a simple blog, then you may use that draft over the internet. But if it's not, then you should like perfectly designed it according to the venture. If it's a venture who is collecting data, then the copyright policy and the privacy policy in terms of use should be created likewise. Because some like refund policy, if you are an e-commerce platform, then your refund policy should be catered and like should be perfectly drafted according to the need of the person. So now the policy part is the second one, and the third one is regarding the link sharing. Like people used to create spam and other things. So you keep in mind that what will what are the legal and like the social media things which you need to keep in mind, because they also have a policy regarding the spamming and other things. Plus providing the proper authorization and credits to the person who is writing the blogs on your blog post. For example, if you are having the contribution from the other writers, then you should always provide them the credits for the work they have done, because they have moral rights always. They will be having the moral rights on the work that they created. You can only be the owner in terms of commercial space, like providing it to somebody or selling it out, making the use of the blogs for adding and having the like monetary benefits from it. So you have to keep these simple things in mind: copyright, legalities, policies, and if you're assigning this website in the later stage to somebody else, then the assignment of the copyright. So these are the very simple things that one should keep.
Hi, Mira. Yes. Yes, thanks for hosting it, Mira. So, Ishani, I have a few doubts that no, I have been very recently launched my consulting services. In a LinkedIn, no, LinkedIn could be the primary source of my concentration in terms of a lead generation. So my question is, no, so far I didn't even decide that whether I should go for LLP or a, because currently I'm just kind of a solopreneurship, and no, I have a couple of people no who helping me in the back end. No, even they were not a full-time employees. No, for a part-time, I'm just assisting them. In terms of completing the project. So, how would you advise me in the longer run? No, do you advise me to register, or it's a kind of, or it doesn't require for the initial period of time, Ijani?
Now, my first question from you is whether you want to scale up your business in future, or do you want to run a consultation firm here, like only in a city, like just want to
Yes,
run a
I
similar
wanted to scale up
business.
in the future. No, as a baby step, I have started this, but I have a bigger plans.
Exactly. If you have bigger plans, then I recommend to register yourself in the LLP.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, till then you are able to figure out things, or you are not able to have another partner, then you can go ahead as a sole proprietorship, having the MSME registration with you. MSME
Okay.
registration will be helping out in case you have delayed payments by the clients, or in case
Mm-mm.
like you want some grants from the government, because now also there is a MSME scheme going on for the women entrepreneurs. You can have
Mm-mm.
15 lakhs of the grants from the government, though that grants and all will be provided to majorly to the product based businesses or the tech based businesses. Consulting firms got grants like very few in number, only
Mm-mm.
when you have sub USP, something different from others.
Okay.
So what I suggest you to have some tech factor in
Mm.
your business idea to get the funding from the government. You will definitely able to get one once you merge your idea with the tech world.
All right. Thank you so much for the input, Ishani. I appreciate it. Thank you, Mira.
Yeah. Also adding one thing
Mm-mm.
in it is that once you get proper clarity on the things, once you like able to emerge successfully the tech part in your business,
Mm.
then without delay go for the LLP, because
Okay.
that way you will be able to have the traction for your business.
All right. Yes. Thank you, Ishani. Mm. Okay. Sure, Mira. Sure. All right. All right. Thank you, Mira.
Yeah, definitely. So I'll share you one of my experience, like one small story. So yes, yesterday only I have the conversation with BTech Pani Puri Wali, the Tapsi Upadhyay, the founder of that. So she told me like when she started, just to expedite the selling of the pani puris to people, what she used to do that she used to accept the cash payments from the people, and like just to expedite the process, she just accept the cash payments and just put it in the drawer, and like the sales like this happens. But when like later on after 2 3 months he realized that she is not able to analyze the business, she is not able to analyze the sales, she is not able to file the GST properly, she is not able to like manage the data and to like so many things are there. So this is one thing. Like people used to restrain themselves from raising invoices. You don't need to raise always a GST invoice. You can raise the invoice without GST as well. But why people are restraining themselves from raising invoice? Because it will take 2 minutes extra for them to raise the invoice and to manage the things. So just because they want to save these 2 minutes, they restrain themselves from doing the things properly. Previously, there was one like people, elder people used to say one thing, that always write on the paper about anything. And if you forget something, then you can check it from the paper where you wrote that. So always keep like making notes of the things which are there, transactions, invoices, everything. Make a register if you are not well versed with the technology part. Registered for the daily sales one can make if in the product business. So there are these common things one can opt for. It will definitely take, I say, like 30 minutes for the whole day of yours, but that will definitely be very fruitful for you in future. Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Yeah, exactly. And one more thing to add on this, like it is not just the legal compliances you are following on by writing and by raising invoices and maintaining data. It will also be able to help you out in the business analysis, because you will be able to analyze that this is the product which I sold most during this month. This is the product on which I need to work on because I'm getting like return orders on it. I have to raise refund invoices and other things like. So there are so many other things one can conclude from the monthly data or the yearly data or the quarterly data one is getting from these sales registers or purchase registers. They can analyze that this is the person from which I made majority of my purchases. And the best part, Mira, here is that all the invoicing applications nowadays are free of cost. Then also people are like acting lazy and they are not utilizing these 2 minutes of them to maintain the data. So that is something which they have to keep in mind. Like what I say, like when you're driving, there was a note always on the roadside that drive slow to reach home carefully, or at least you will reach home if you drive slow. But if you drive faster, you will not ever reach out the home. So this is the same thing here. Like if you drive slow in the business by doing all the compliances, then you will be better be at home safely. But if you will not, then you will miss out in the journey and will end up like other people who are feeding their startups even after getting funding, even after getting all the support from the best incubation centers in the world. first thing is whether they need actually funding or not. Because most of the people don't actually need funding. But then also due to fashion, because there is currently a fashion of Shark Tank in India. So people have that thing in mind that in case they have the funding, then they will be able to list themselves as a unicorn. But that is not the, like, it is nowhere written that in case you got funding, you will be having a successful startup, because most of the funded startups fail more in the number than the bootstrap startups. Because when you got this third advantage, which I tell you in the very beginning, that there are three advantages: the skill advantage, the geolocation advantage, and the capital advantage. Once you get this third advantage, Mira, that is the capital advantage, that is the funding, then you will never try to acquire the other two advantages. And that is the thing, that when people got funding, they never try to actually go ahead with the things seriously. Though funding is very required for scaling your business, but that is not required to run a business. Though like there are grants, there are funding availabilities with the government, with the like MSME schemes, Startup India schemes. But in case one wants funding to scale up, then they should keep only one thing in mind, and they should have a very good product, and they should know their clients and their market. Either, uh, in fact, like even after having the funding, they will fail in future. Because what happens now, like once one get the funding, they used to burn all the money in marketing and other things without knowing their product. Like whether their product is a shit, whether nobody is going to buy it, then also they are raising funds and burning the money of the investor in the name of business. So, as Ashneet Hoover once said, Mira, I remember his words, like, business is just simple, like, you are buying something in low prices, selling it in a higher prices, and the profit is business. So, just keep in mind that if you are able to do this simple calculation, like you are buying products on lower prices, selling them on higher prices, then you are making money, and that is business. Paytm and all other unicorns nowadays, they are burning 9 rupees for earning 1 rupee. So I don't think this is like acceptable, and this should be done. So like major, I believe that every startup should be like Zerodha. They are having 50% of the clear profit on the turnover they had last. That should be the business strategy, that you are burning and having very low expenditure on the acquisitions and marketings and other things, because your product is like very good, then you will not be requiring any marketing expenses for the Google ads and the Meta ads. You just need word of mouth publicity, and that is irreplaceable. Yeah, that is also included in the social media policy for the influencers, which the government has introduced just few days back. Because nowadays, if influencer is using any product, then they have to give the disclaimer that this is not an ad. Thanks a lot, Mira. Thank you, everyone. Yeah. Yeah. Exactly, and we will be discussing it in more detail with classification and like we'll be on every single step by step. Everything will